Hey guys, it's Shannon with AVA Direct, and today we're doing the first of our series of hardware coverage or reviews or overviews of key components we use here at AVA Direct. Now I feel the most apt one is going to be the one that we used in our Ryzen 2 launch, which is the Crosshair 7 Hero. This is the Crosshair 7 Hero Wi-Fi, which has Wi-Fi integrated. They also have one without Wi-Fi. Let's go ahead and dive into this thing and see exactly what it has to offer. Now the new AMD X470 chipset is designed for the new Ryzen 2. It'll work, it's backward compatible with any of the processors to begin with. X370 is also backward compatible as well, same socket, AM4, so it's gonna be a long-lasting socket at least through, I believe they said 2020. So that's awesome, but this one supports some of the newest features within Ryzen 2, like the higher XFR capabilities, the ability to hold XFR longer, much beyond what X370 could do. Now with the Crosshair 7 Hero Wi-Fi, as I mentioned, it has Wi-Fi integrated, but a lot of the features you will see are very similar to the X370 or Crosshair 6 Hero board. A lot of them you'll notice are visually very similar. Some of the differences is like your storage options. It actually has a second M2, so you have one here and one covered by this piece of metal. Now, one thing that I think ASUS could have done a little better with this would be for this to be your primary, because instead this is M2_2, which is your secondary port. Now this one shares PCIe lanes with your second graphics card. So let's say you had two PCIe M2s and then you wanted to run SLI, that would be a problem because SLI needs minimum an 8x link, and this would be dropped down to 4 electrically if you have a PCIe M.2 here. Ideally, as a builder myself, and as we do here, we'd be looking at something like this with the integrated cooler to put it right up top, prominently on the board. But this is not the case. We'd be using this one down below for a single M2 system to make sure that we don't take away PCIe lanes available on our slot here. Now, speaking of the slots, you have a single X16 or dual X16 mechanical slots, but if you populate both of them, it's going to be X8, X8. And as I mentioned before, you will also have, if you put an M2 up here that's PCIe or any PCIe device in the M2 slot at the top, you're going to drop this one to X4. And then down at the bottom slot is a mechanical X16 with a by-4 lane going directly through your PCH or your chipset. Then you have dual X1s, which are also going directly through your chipset. Now moving away from that, we have a ton of fan headers on this thing. All the way across the top, you have a bunch, so you can pretty much hook up all the fans you'd want to do, and they go all the way around the perimeter of the board. There are some special ones though. Down at the bottom of the board, you have specific liquid cooling headers, such as you have an AIO pump header here at the top. You have a water pump header down at the bottom. The water pump header, unlike the AIO header, supports 3 amps. That's huge because that means you can hook a massive water pump that pulls a lot of power where normally you'd be running it, let's say, off of a 4-pin PATA adapter. Now you can actually run it directly off the board. Same with your high amp fan. Your high amp fan port supports up to 3 amps as well. The only thing is make sure you switch off the Q fan compatibility because that could be a serious problem with a higher amp output. Now for more of the functionality differences, I really feel ASUS knocked it out of the park really well on this board, especially from a builder standpoint. Since AVA Direct, we build custom systems. One of the things I really appreciate is we know where everything should plug in. But let's say you're building your own system. Let's say you're watching this and you're like, I want to know what features I want to build in my new Ryzen 2 system. Well, if you get a 2-stick RAM kit, they actually silkscreen each slot to show your primaries. So you plug in dual channel, just do 2 DIMMs. If you plug them in the wrong slot, it could potentially not post or just have lesser performance. There's a preference toward these 2 slots, the furthest away and then skip one and the one right here. So basically one away from there and then all the way at the end. You plug those 2 in, those are the primary, and ASUS has had legendary topology as far as their trace design going to their memory slots to allow much better memory performance, better latency across the board. Everyone, and this is going back quite a while, they originally had their T topology. Now a lot more people have picked up this kind of technology, and it's made it much better for extreme performance on these chipsets where you're trying to push the limit and have the best overall system performance. Now, that same silk screening carries on. You'll see both of these are marked as CPU. So both of these go through CPU lanes, not through chipset, where this one goes through chipset. So that's good to know because let's say you've never built a system before. You look at this slot, you know you're going to want to plug your GPU into this one to make sure you get maximum performance. Now for aesthetics, RGB is a thing. We all know that. It can be shut off. It's really cool with ASUS Aura. You can shut all that stuff off. But there are a lot of RGB capabilities, such as you'll notice 4 white headers. That is for LED strips or other ancillary components that take the 4-pin connector, but you also have addressable headers. So you have the standard 4-pin, then you have the 3-pin addressable headers. This allows you to address every LED independently, and that's really cool. I've seen other boards also starting to employ this. So this now allows you to sync your motherboard to pretty much every other device, including the Evo X memory that we had from Gil. Those actually come with cables that'll plug into the 4-pin headers to allow you to address your memory and allow it to sync with everything else on your board. So OR-sync compatibility, that's a big thing I've seen on a lot of RGB devices. You also have Mystic Light from MSI, things like that. All these guys are working really hard to make these lighting implementations much better. If you're someone that likes a nice blacked out look, like I tend to like a much darker, maybe just single like white light to highlight the components, then you can shut this stuff off directly through software or even kill it like in the BIOS and just shut them off so that it doesn't light up. But at the end of the day, for those that love the lights, you have it. And the other cool part about ASUS is they try to really improve your gaming capability. So part of that comes from audio. They have the Supreme FX audio. This has gone through so many iterations, it's insane. Basically, they try to pick a top choice codec along with special amplifiers, neutron caps, things like that that give you a better audible experience, better auditory experience. Overall, less crosstalk from the other PCB layers. A lot of them have specific separation to the PCB just to isolate your audio tracks and make sure that you get the best performance possible without the hiss, cracks, pops that you hear in some other integrated solutions. It's probably one of the closer ones you're going to get to discrete audio without an add-in card, but obviously an add-in card is always going to, in my opinion, trump a built-on board option because you have so much more capability for different DACs and codecs and what have you directly built into the board. And now another thing for connectivity. USB 3.1 Gen 2 header directly on the board for front panel connections. I know this is still limited. We've only seen a few cases come through that actually have this connector, but it's there and available so you can have some nice solid Gen 2 performance, which is super fast, way faster than 3.1, Gen 1, or what we called USB 3.0 previously. But this connector allows you to connect to it. They do have adapters out there that will connect to other ports. I'm not sure, I haven't tested the performance on those yet, but I do know when I've used this port, it is lightning fast. I mean, it pretty much will blow away pretty much anything you can run as far as anything USB 3. And that's pending you can find a device that will support that speed. A lot of them are PCIe-based device, things like that, like a PCIe SSD with an external adapter. But you can definitely get some awesome speeds as more devices come out. This board's already ready. And it also, for diagnostic purposes or for benchtop use, it has your power on button along with your retry, clear CMOS, things like that are all built on the board, along with this board supporting USB Bios Flashback, which is awesome because let's say down the road, maybe Ryzen 3 comes out and you still have this board and it's going to meet all your needs. You could literally, if you have this board and maybe you sold your own chip, didn't think about it, you could just plug in a USB stick with the correct named file for your BIOS ROM, push a button, it'll flash itself without even the need for it to post. And you'll be able to run the newest CPU without an issue. Some other water cooling friendly features, because we build a lot of custom systems here with water cooling and whatnot, is you can hook up all the way from thermal sensors to water flow sensors, things like that, which allow you to monitor directly through ASUS software all of your liquid cooling components, including inlet and outlet temperatures, to make sure that your system is performing optimally. And one last part of this would be all of the I/O on the rear of the board. You'll notice it has an I/O shield integrated. This is actually one of the best things I think I've seen ASUS do in a while. It integrates all of it here, so you don't have to worry about losing an I/O shield, trying to press it in the back of a case, or pretty much any of that other stuff where I/O shields can really be a pain to deal with, such as, different prongs like they may have for grounding. Well, instead of it inserting into your USB port, then you have to go in and fix it, pull the board possibly. All of it's already integrated, so you literally slide it up to the back of the case, mount it in, and you're done. There's no need to worry about fitting or losing or messing with an I/O shield at all. It's already pre-installed on the board. Beyond that, you'll notice you have a ton of connectivity. You have 10 gigabit or high-speed USB 3.1 along with standard USB 3, and even a BIOS flashback port and standard USB 2. And for legacy purposes, for those maybe using this board for benchmarking and what have you, you have a PS2 port here along with your Wi-Fi headers, BIOS flashback button, and CMOS reset. So basically you have everything that you would need for connectivity directly out the back of this board, along with gold-plated audio connectors for the best possible audio connectivity you could get for this system. And I know I mentioned benchtop operation with the fact that you have integrated buttons. The other thing you do have is you have an 8-pin and 4-pin. This supplemental 4-pin comes as normally a 4+4 or 8-pin, With a higher power supply, you can plug this in, which ensures that your CPU will get plenty of amperage when you're pushing overclocks. This board, even being a hero, we know they have the Formula Extreme, all that stuff normally through the ASUS product stack. This one will allow you to have a little bit more power, or actually quite a bit, significant amount of amps directly to the CPU to ensure you get enough power for your overclocking needs. And so those who are doing LN2, things like that, and I've pushed some of these chips, you know, on air and liquid cooling, you could get safely 4.2, pretty safe across the cross section of samples I've tested. I'm looking forward to pushing these on some sub-ambient cooling, see how far they can go. I've seen people like our buddy DeBauer, Roman, who's hit a little over 6 gigahertz recently, so that's pretty awesome. I'm looking forward to see if my samples are that good, or are they going to be relatively meh, maybe 5.5, 5.6. But either way, we're really excited to share some more extreme results as time goes on, see what kind of stuff we can squeeze out of our Ryzen platform, our Ryzen 2 platform actually, and what this Hero board has to hold for us, along with future products. Now you see what the Crosshair 7 Hero Wi-Fi has to offer. Now, I'm sure you can understand why we certify it to be used here at AVA Direct, and also why we use it in our initial testing. Beyond the fact that that was one of the first boards we received, we also feel that the feature set is just amazing. So now if you'd like, give us a like, and please be sure to subscribe to our channel so that you can see the next possible products we bring out as we certify more and more boards, graphics cards, SSDs to be used in AVA Direct systems. We want to share with you our experience with these so that you can make the best buying decision, whether you're getting an AVA Direct powered system or even building your own. We want to provide you our feedback on what we see limitations, such as the M2 that shares with the bottom slot. That could be a problem if you're looking to go with an SLI system. We want to bring that information to you to make sure that you make the best possible choice based on your application. Look forward to seeing you next time. If you're looking forward to some great content coming out of our team here at AVA Direct, please join us on our social media channels such as Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, and be sure to like and subscribe to this channel so you get notifications when we upload brand new videos to get you the newest in tech every day.